Hello, and you're watching the Jungle Gyms podcast. Today is Tuesday, the 12th of October, and I'm your host, Gavin. We're joined by Paddy, McGinty, and Dazza as well. Dazza, no seen you in a while. How you doing, mate? Long time no see.
No bad, no bad. Yeah, I keep getting jealous because you just keep doing these and I'm always busy doing other things. I was ready for coming up to the Shetlands, dragging you out your hussies and all that, up to Carntyne. But no, good to be back.
Have you got a sunbed on in the background?
No, it's the wee lights for the unit.
Sunbed unit.
I'll believe you. Paddy, how you doing, pal?
Good, mate, yourself?
I'm not bad. I've got to say it was a good weekend for me. I'm glad you actually asked that because I would have forgotten otherwise. The boxing fight. I know that this is a Celtic podcast primarily, and I won't take too long. But Tyson Fury, what a fitting end to a trilogy against Deontay Wilder. One of the best heavyweight fights I've ever seen. £25 pay-per-view, money well spent. I'm surprised that actually I was still awake by the fight. It was about 5 o'clock in the morning. Sunday morning, and what a fucking ending. Brilliant fight. And I'm not much of a bettor. I only put down £5 for both fighters to be knocked down and for Tyson Fury to win. So I made 45 quid from that.
Oh, nice one.
yeah, I'm
A win's a win.
I'm flush. So very happy. Apart from that, it was a non-event for the weekend because it's international duty. McGinty, how you doing, pal? I see you're wearing your Spain top. Is that in celebration of? In fact, no, it wouldn't really be because
commiserations. Yes, they were robbed with that second goal against France the other night. I don't understand what the offside rule is these days. Not a good sign for guys who are doing a football podcast, mind you. But that was offside every day of the week as far as I'm concerned. So they were robbed, but it was a good game.
Yeah. In case anyone wasn't paying attention, it was the Nations League, this latest international tournament. It was France against Spain, and France got a very dubious goal from a looked offside. And I agree with McGinty. I think the offside rule is going to continue to be challenged and shaped. And I don't know if we'll ever find a perfect equilibrium with the offside rule. But
well, this is what we were talking about the other day with VAR coming into Scottish football. Now everybody could see that goal was offside, and Mbappe was at least maybe 2 yards offside. It went to the VR check, and they still allowed it. You know what I mean? So
and they allowed it, in case anyone is really baffled. They allowed it because the defending Spanish player made a little touch, and he kind of touched it onto Mbappe. And again, is it a deliberate pass back to Courtois? Deliberate pass back to the goalkeeper? No, it was not. But because he made a deliberate touch, then the VAR deemed it onside.
Of course, it wasn't a pass back. Of course, it wasn't the original pass from the point of I can't remember who the assist was, but from the original pass, Mbappe was offside. As soon as that pass was released, he's offside. So it's offside as far as I'm concerned. Yes, you're let it go through to the goal scored point, but go back to it, as far as I'm concerned, that's offside. Otherwise, where do you stop? At what point do we just put a guy up in the 6-yard box and we'll just get Callum McGregor to rattle it off of fucking Hallander and just let the ball aimlessly bounce forward and just he's offside, but hey, you hit a defender last.
Yeah, by the way, I know that we're going off a tangent.
I know that's pure hypothetical fucking exaggeration, but still.
I know that I was kind of lambasting Arsene Wenger a while back, talking about World Cups every 2 years. But you know what? You were talking about offside there. Van Basten, I think Van Basten is employed in some capacity by FIFA. Van Basten was saying do away completely with the offside. How fucked up is that?
There's a good reason why it came in, was it not, back in the day? With the whole poaching kind of aspect. It brought in more footballing. Not ability, but it brought in more footballing kind of side of the game rather than just fucking lump it up to the big poacher.
Excuse me.
I think the only former player, the only former striker who would advocate for no offside would be Inzaghi, because he was always offside. But Van Basten was brilliant.
By the way, see if that was the case that the offside rule was done away with, the Scottish referees would probably be parading through the streets of Glasgow in celebration.
Because they don't know what it is.
What difference from any other weekend?
I was. You were talking about VAR coming to Scotland there. and I've been sitting and they're like, that way, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it. So I won't got to say it. Calm yourself down. But it would just be the same H's that's backing it up.
Well, that's it. I mean, the only good thing that could possibly come from it, although that offside goal for France the other night might say otherwise, is that at least it's on video. At least it has to be reviewed somewhere. At least it's gonna be spoken about properly. And there's no hiding. They could hide in plain sight, but at least it's going to be obvious.
By another brother.
Pretty much. For me, VAR should be... All referees for me should be at some sort of centralised European UEFA kind of programme of education, of development. And VAR should probably be similar. It should be passed up some sort of chain. If your VAR's going to be questioned, it shouldn't be us just questioning VAR in Scotland and the SFAS, PFL saying, nah, fuck off, you're shite. We should be able to pass it up to the European authorities, be it CAS or whatever it is.
I would love the old Italian referee, Pierluigi Collina, to make a comeback in the Scottish. Bring him into Scottish football.
See you struggling getting that name there.
Mate,
how long have you waited to shoehorn him into a conversation, Paddy?
Just for a night, I watched a thing on Netflix called Bad Sports, and I watched the football kind of episode, and it was about Juventus. Right. They got it. I can't remember some sort of Italian fucking name for it, but it was basically the whole cheating scandal, and that's what they were talking about. They were trying to kind of get around nominating Collina to referee the last game, which was the kind of second last game, which was the decider between AC Milan and Juventus, because he was so impartial and he didn't take any shit off anybody, and the way he refereed the game was so honest.
Do you remember that he had his own PlayStation game?
He did not have his own PlayStation game.
He was
a face of Pro Evo 4, I think it was.
Is that okay?
Yeah, like Mbappe and Messi are like the cover picture for FIFA. He was that.
Really?
Yeah.
Pro Evo.
He's got a face for radio as well.
But the very fact that a referee made it onto that is, do you know what I mean? Right. He became bigger. No, sorry. He thought he was bigger in the game. He thought he was. No, it wasn't about the two teams that was playing. He was the type of referee that thought it was all about him. Big baldy bastard that he is.
Good on him. The best referee in history.
Right. To the viewers, anyway, thank you very much for tuning in tonight. Because as you know, it's international break, so it's not really downtime for the Jungle Gyms. We've been racking our heads together, and we're going to come up with something a wee bit more positive. In hindsight, after the past few weeks, where it has rather been quite negative as a Celtic fan. So Paddy came up with the inventive idea of doing your favourite 11. So that's the main theme for this evening. We're going to do the main 11 for your own lifetime as a Celtic player.
Celtic.
Pardon me?
For Celtic 11.
Yeah. Pardon me. Aye. Sorry.
I'm not going to start with Andy Gorham and.
Why is that the first one you go to?
No, you would be swiftly booted off, man, if that was the case. But again, it's your favourite Celtic 11 during your lifetime. So if I see anyone throwing in like a Jimmy McGrory, then we know that you'll be cheating in this regard. But
I get Bobby Lennox.
You can, aye.
Even though he retired in 1981 and I was born in 80. But
I'm going to say you never watched him, but you could if you wanted.
But we'll not go down that road. We'll not go down that road.
Aye. Anyway, to the viewers, thank you for tuning in. We're now on Spotify, so please check us out on Spotify, and on YouTube, please subscribe, hit the like button, leave a comment, especially about your favourite 11, and if you want to kind of attack anyone's choices, then by all means let it fly. So let us know about that, and obviously share your YouTube file with anyone else who wants to watch it. But Scotland are playing tonight, apparently. It's the Faroe Islands. I think we're away from home, and at the weekend, Scotland beat Israel. It was a blockbuster 3-2. A goal in the last few minutes. Scott McTominay. I had a mate who was at the game, and he said that it was jumping. You need to caveat that whenever you say Hampden was jumping, because it's not really the same as Parkhead. Like your binoculars try to watch the game from the Hampden stands. So anyone who's actually got the game on tonight in the background telly or on
I've got
their
it on,
phones,
No, I've got it on
what Celtic players are starting tonight for Scotland? Out of curiosity, mate.
mate. Cheers for putting me on the spot there.
Callum McGregor, I would assume.
I just seen Ryan. See, for God's sake, I was going to say, have you seen Ryan Christie warm up there? Where have I been the last few weeks?
Well, I don't know. I'll be watching the mighty Ireland try to win their second game under Stephen Kenny. Come on.
The Scotland lineup, I've not seen it myself, but I'm going to take the safe assumption that Cal McGregor starts and David Turnbull's on the bench. I believe they're the only two that's actually in the Scotland lineup for tonight.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Aye, so Dazza, if you've got the game on in the telly, whenever someone scores a goal, if they do, let us know. McGinty, I think that you were kind of paying attention to the boys representing internationally. So the big game was between Australia and Japan. I think that was about 11:30 this morning, and Japan won 2-1. Japan had to win the game because Australia are top in the group, and this is for the World Cup qualifying. The good thing is that we'll probably see Rogic in the World Cup because he was playing from the start. I think Rogic played about 82 minutes until he was taken off, and Kyogo came on for the final half hour, and he was involved somewhat in forcing an own goal, and that kind of became the winner for Japan. So apart from Kyogo only playing 30 minutes, which I'm happy with, I don't want to see him playing much more than that. Rogic, 80 minutes is probably not good, and then he's got the flight back home. Apart from that, any other intel that you've got for the international boys?
Not really much at all. Apart from what everybody's probably saw of the Scotland game the other night with Israel, pretty much nobody really done much of note from what I can tell. You're looking at the Kyogo and Rogic in the previous game. Again, Rogic played about 60 odd minutes, 63 minutes, and Kyogo got a solid half hour. So I think the best we can take from those two is that Kyogo's coming back up to fitness. He's getting a bit of a run out, but he's not being driven into the ground. And hopefully similar for Rogic, he's getting a good solid hour, 80 minutes or so. So hopefully both of them come back ready to go again. The rest of the guys, the only thing of note is really McGregor got 90 minutes. So did Nia Beaton, but Beaton got a booking. Other than that, nobody played really. Starfelt wasn't in the squad. Ajeti stayed on the bench. Abada stayed on the bench as well. And I dare say going into this round of fixtures tonight, it's probably going to be similar.
There's very Celtic players starting in the Scotland team.
Is McGregor no starting now?
No.
There you go, even less so, which I think you alluded to it there, Gavin. The best thing we can hope here in the international break, especially how our season started, no injuries, please, and people come back fit.
The best news is no news at all. Aye.
Gordon, Hendry, Hanley, Tierney, Fraser, Gilmore, McTominay, Robertson, McGinn, Christie, and that big Hadi Dyke.
Pretty standard kind of formation there for Scotland. I think that sounds like McTominay's in midfield, which is changed from McGregor. See how that pans out.
I would have thought. I would have thought that if you're playing against the Pharaohs,
all out action.
You would imagine that McGregor is fairly kind of well experienced in terms of trying to unlock that defence, going from that angle to that angle to that angle to spread it about. But make your bed, sleep in it, Steve Clark. So
you get the Ireland game on, Paddy. So who's for Celtic and Ireland in there?
I don't know, mate. I've not got it on yet. I've not checked. I'm literally just into my work.
Judging by the list that Celtic posted last week, nobody apart from Scales being in the squad. But I don't think he's starting any games.
Nah. Scales get took into the squad, but he's leaving getting a sniff. So
yeah, he's leaving. He wasn't on the bench.
It's good experience from being in the match squad, but you know, I mean, it'd been ideal if he was at least getting a game. But that's what it is.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but the last game that Ireland played at the weekend, he was in the match squad, but he wasn't even on the bench, and they travelled fucking to Timbuktu at the weekend. Correct me if I'm wrong.
See, that's slightly annoying. Then you'd rather, if he's not even going to get on the bench, you'd rather at least just leave him at home, save him the travel, let him get.
No, I know, but they do say sometimes for a younger player, you know what I mean? It's kind of.
He's 23 years old. He's not a 17-year-old.
No, I know.
He's still young in his career, though.
he's on the cusp of the international team, do you know what I mean? So even travelling with the squad and getting to meet up with the guys and doing up with them, it could be a positive, but to say it's not really a positive for us in the terms that he wasn't getting any game time.
Yeah.
But that'll change, hopefully.
Fair enough. And one final thing, we've got 2 returning players back to the first team training, which is anticipated after the international break, and that'll be Julian and Forrest. So keeping it right now on current Celtic before we move on to the hypothetical of your favourite 11. Julian, Dazza, what you ask you, who does Julian automatically replace once he gets fit? Or does he automatically replace someone? Does he need to earn the stripes?
Well, he obviously needs to earn his way back in. I know he's going to disagree with me here, but I'm thinking Starfelt is starting to come onto a game a wee bit. He's improving each week. But if he's going to come in and earn his place, then it's Starfelt to know that he takes it up. Because Big Carter Vickers just looks solid. So if you've got, I reckon Julian and Vickers would be a good pairing. But I don't want to write Starfelt after now. Do you know what I mean? I think there's a player in there. It's proven there's a player in there. And he's improving each week. Go on, Paddy, shoot me down.
Mate, I don't need to shoot you down. Listen, my thoughts on Starfelt have been quite public knowledge now. I don't rate him as it stands now. I don't want to see any Celtic player failing. I don't want to see them being shite. But that's
healthy. Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't wish any ill will on any Celtic player. Do you know what I mean? But he's not been good enough, and even the Swedish international manager has dropped him because, for want of a better word, his comments were more or less like he's not been good enough. You know what I mean? So if that's the international manager seeing that, then
exactly. It's not just us fans having a knee-jerk reaction to him. There's professional coaches who are saying, look, you're not quite up to it at this point, which is fine. He's had a big move. Russia to Scotland is a big change. It's a big difference in teams and what he's been asked to do, especially when you think about Ange Postecoglou who's trying to implement here. So fair play, but yeah.
To keep it grounded about Julian, had he impressed you enough whenever he was fit prior to the injury for you to get excited about his return?
Yes, I'm excited about his return because we're definitely lacking depth at the centre-back positions. I think Welsh has been probably unfairly dropped at this point, so we definitely need more to give a rotation a fighting chance.
I mean, like, sorry, if you were kind of chuffed, excited about him returning, I mean it based on his appearances rather than our present condition right now in defence.
It depends how you want to really word that. Do I think he's good enough overall to be a number one pick for Celtic? No, I think we could get better than Julian, but is he better than the likes of Starfelt and Welsh? 100%. And I agree with Dazza, sorry, he should be starting with Carter Vickers. I'm excited to see what that can bring, but I'm very doubtful that it's the best partnership that we're ever going to see at Celtic.
Well, see if you've got a fit Christopher Julian, he walks right into that team.
Yeah.
The question is who does he replace? For me, obviously it's going to be Starfelt.
Yeah.
I would love to see Julian playing with Carter Vickers. Julian's a leader. It's been spoken about his leadership qualities in the dressing room. You can see that on the park as well. I mean, sometimes Julian will lose the physical battles if he's not on his game, but when he is, he wins them. He's a big game player. He can be physical at the back and he can be a threat up front. He's scored goals up front. You know what I mean?
Dazza, what's your final thoughts on Julian? And we'll move on after that to Forrest returning.
Well, just going back to like what you are saying there, and what also Julian brings to the party is height. And I'm not talking about height in our box, I'm talking about height in the opposition box. Look at Lazio. Look at the goal in the League Cup final. So he brings that added threat and all. So he walks right back into that team. But
Fair dues. I think he'll probably walk back into the team until he gets put back out if his performances are undeserving of where we are right now. And again, try to get back up to the Postecoglou way. Can he do it? We will find out. We will find out. For me, in my opinion, he's a mixed bag. He looks physical, but he get proved not to be physical by certain players such as Lyndon Dykes. And again, if Lyndon Dykes scores tonight, let me know about it. Forrest is 30 years old, longest serving Celtic player. It took a long time for him to kind of win a lot of people around. And now we're playing with quite an exciting front three right now. Kyogo has to play up front. We've got Abada on the right. We've got Jota on the left. However, we have seen Jota playing on the right as well. That's great to see Jota being dynamic like that. And we have seen Ange Postecoglou play Forrest on the left whenever Abada was starting. McGinty, what do you think whenever Forrest comes back? Does his experience merit him? I think my personal opinion is that Jota at the moment is undroppable. I think Abada for a 19-year-old has been fantastic, but I say that his age, because of his performances, I want to kind of caveat that. But does Forrest at the moment, whenever he comes to match fitness, does he overcome Abada? Does he walk into the team just like we think Julian might?
Again, yeah, I think he does. His experience at Celtic, his stature at the club, we all know what he can bring. Yes, he's been injured, but he walks straight back into that squad for me. We've not signed somebody in Abada that's instantly better than Forrest, so Abada for me is droppable for somebody like Forrest. So yeah, Forrest goes back into the team for me. It's up to Abada to take the chances when he can then get them again and trying to prove himself to fight his way back into that position. Forrest can give you consistency over a long time. Abada over just 2 months has shown that he can have hot and cold games, which is totally expected for a 19-year-old. So yeah, Forrest goes straight back into it for me. Hopefully he can adapt to the style change. If not, then Abada's there to try and step in.
Paddy, sorry, Dazza,
I was about to jump in there till you says about Abada's age, and I was like, come on, he's a guy now, he's coming on to a game. But you're right, Forrest. I reckon Forrest would make a difference. Forrest is more direct in a goal threat. Like running forward, taking somebody, sending somebody the right way, then getting what basically all his goals are. We're missing Forrest.
And Paddy, onto yourself. Forrest, as I said, 30 years old. It took a long time for him to actually be kind of embraced by the Celtic fans. But for the majority of his career, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't really have many injury problems. But last season he was out for a long time. And this season he's had a very, very poor start because of injury, not his fault. He's a winger. He's built on pace, explosiveness. Do you think that this could be, I hate to say it, but do you think he'll make an impact this season, or do you think he might actually get phased out if he doesn't really get up to speed again?
No, I think he'll definitely make an impact. As you said earlier on, Forrest has been quite divisive in opinion for the Celtic fans, and it did take him a long, long time to win round the majority of them. There's still people that obviously still don't rate him, but you've seen in recent years how kind of much an influential figure Forrest has become in the squad. Still drops in and out performance-wise, but he's a guy that'll get the ball deep. He'll gain you the yards up the pitch, and that's something that I'm kind of looking forward to seeing him when he's back in the team, because when Abada's playing on the right, he doesn't really drop too deep, and we've spoke about it, he doesn't really offer any defensive cover for Ralston. You're going to see more of that when Forrest comes in, hopefully, to whatever degree he comes in it. But his experience and his influence is definitely it's a positive. He can cut inside for the right. He can be a direct goal figure. He can get the yards up. He can go and play on the left. He can cut inside again. So it's not a bad thing that Forrest is coming back. Absolutely not. It's only a good thing.
And he scored goals in Europe. He scored goals against Rangers. He knows what it's all about. Mm-hmm. He knows what it's like to be in the trenches. Mm-hmm. Aye. Okay, well, regardless, it's like it's a good headache for a manager. You know what I mean? For Julian and for Forrest to come back, and hopefully on top of that, we're going to get Josip Juranovic back, and Giacomakis is going to hopefully get match fit. and would expect him to kind of supersede Ajeti in the kind of the rankings. But guys, let's move on to the kind of the fun theme of the night. So it's your favourite 11, your best 11 during your kind of lifetime as a Celtic fan. So we're going to go through the positions: goalkeeper, defence, midfield, and attack. Before we do that, Paddy, I want to start off with yourself. Formation. In fact, not everybody. Formation. Is everybody going 4-4-2? I'm going away for the trend. I'm going 3-5-2. So
Probably the most successful formation that I've seen would be the 3-5-2, but because of the players that I want, I'm going to shoehorn certain players into a 4-4-2.
Okay. My reason for doing a 3-5-2 because I wanted it to appear natural. That's why I went for the 3-5-2. McGinty, you going for a 4-4-2 or what?
I'm actually going for a 4-3-3.
I'm
Again,
not surprised.
Again, it's to try and shoehorn a certain person into the midfield, but I've tried to be somewhat sensible with the lineup to give the overall 11 a nice balance.
Good on you. And Dazza, formation tonight.
4-4-2. As Mike Bassett once says, 4-4-2. 4-4-2.
4-4-2, probably the most famous of all lineups because they even made a bloody magazine about that. And by the way, in the 90s, that was the magazine to read. That was a good one.
So it was the Playboy then, no?
Mate, in the 90s, no.
See, I was mere a shoot or a match.
I liked match. Match when I was a young boy.
Did anyone ever have like Roy of the Rovers? Like I read the Beano and the Dandy back in the day, but I never read Roy of the Rovers.
No.
Roy of the Rovers. Roy of the Rovers, Jamie Vardy, he's the real Roy of the Rovers, isn't he?
Is that correct me if I'm wrong, but was that not the wee comic strip guy that was in the paper?
Aye.
But then they made him into a feature-length comic.
Right.
Yeah.
When the Celts were down the ball, Roy come on, and that was it. Turned a game on its head.
Fuck, I love the Beano, man. And the Bash Street kids. Okay, anyway, goalkeeper. I have written down a couple of contenders for every position. So in case anyone gets overlooked, there might be a noticeable kind of shout out to an unlucky candidate. Paddy, goalkeeper. Who have you got?
For me, it's got to be between two guys, but I'd like to give a shout out to one of my kind of favourite goalkeepers who didn't get a lot of game time. He was only here for a short time. Don't know if you can remember him. Javier Sanchez. Brotto.
Yeah, it's Brotto.
Did he not play in the Huntsville game?
He played for Livingston. Came into Livingston on a kind of short-term deal, and then Celtic snapped up on a short-term deal when that deal expired at Livingston. And I remember him. I went away to a game, an away game. I'm sure it was against Dunfermline. And I swear to God, this guy was brilliant. He was the epitome of when somebody describes a goalkeeper as the cat. He wasn't big. He was about 5'10", 11, maybe 6 feet. I don't know, but he certainly wasn't massive. But his saves were tremendous. He was magic. But I can't include him in the team because the two front runners are Arthur Borwick and Fraser Forster. And I had a wee debate in my head who to pick, but I'm going to have to go with Borwick. Borwick was just. He was tremendous. He was the first ever world-class goalkeeper that Celtic had.
Okay. McGinty, who did you go for?
I have to fully agree with everything that he said there up until his last point. Arthur Borch might have been the first world-class goalkeeper that we have seen at Celtic, but then along came the next world-class goalkeeper in Fraser Forster, and for me, Forster's the better keeper. He's more reliable at his peak performances. He's so much more reliable than Borch was, who had a couple of dodgy moments in him, so I plucked Fraser Forster.
Nice one. Dazza, before I even hear, but can you tell me who you've went for, and then I'm going to ask you a question?
Ian Andrews. John.
Awkward.
Fraser Forster, 100%.
Okay.
Fraser Forster.
Okay, so can I ask you a question? So you've got just a couple of years on us. I want to ask you, why does Paddy Bonner not get on to the list?
Big Packy.
So he played in
Yeah.
1990 and 1994 for Ireland. I think he saved Ireland in a penalty shootout. He got them through in the
Against
1990 World
Romania.
Cup. Yeah, and obviously he played with Celtic for a long, long time. He is considered a Celtic legend. So for the kind of the younger viewers, why does Paddy Bonner not get talked in the same esteem as Fraser Forster or Artur Boric?
I'll tell you why.
To be
Because
brutally honest,
Paddy Bonner was like Dracula. He was afraid of crosses.
I was going. He was weak with crosses, wasn't he? He was a good shot stopper, weak with crosses. But the simple answer, he's not as good as the aforementioned Arthur and Fraser. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. For me, I would say I'm going to go for Fraser Forster. So it's going to be a 3 in favour of Forster and 1 to Boric. And the reason for me, it was that Forster played for Celtic twice in 2 spells, and on both spells, it was so impressive. The first time against Barcelona, when we recorded that impressive win against them at Parkhead, the Spanish media called them the wall or whatever it was.
The Grand Mura.
Amazing.
Like
That's why you're here to bring that culture
The Great Wall.
to the podcast.
The Great Wall.
The Great Wall. And another noticeable performance was against Rangers, whenever Celtic were under the cosh for the majority of the game. And Forster kept us in it. That cup final at Hampden, he saved the penalty against Morelos. And at that point, I was so proud that Morelos had never scored a goal against Celtic. And the other thing was that Boric actually got us through in a shootout against Spartak Moscow at Parkhead. Got us through a shootout at against Spartak, and we got into the last 16 of the Champions League. Or was it into the Champions League? We got through.
No, that was a Champions League qualifier, and that got us into the group stages.
That's it. Boric was great. The only thing that for me is the deciding factor was I don't remember any howlers by Forster, but Boric did have a couple of howlers. Kenny Miller, for example.
See where we're on the Fraser Forster, and can I just give a wee special mention to his save against Lazio in the last minute at Celtic Park, and how he plucked that out there, I'll never ever know. It was a match-winning save.
Aye, but see, that's all well and good, but did Fraser Forster ever score a penalty against Lucas Zaluska?
I was at that game that night. That was a good.
Aye. Right, we are going to move on for the Jungle Gyms. We're going to go into defence. This will be an interesting one. So, again, remind me of your formation. So we've got a 4-4-2 man in the house. Hands up for that. 4-3-3. I've got a 3-5-2. Dazza, what do you have?
I'm going to go 4-4-2.
Gav, can you just point out for the listeners on Spotify, if you don't mind, who's going who?
I've went for 4-3-3.
Okay. So, Paddy, start us off. Your right back and your left back, please.
Left back is Kieran Tierney. He was phenomenal for most of his spell. Great to see a young player come up for the ranks. He get brought into the team under Ronnie Dyler, and he looked a threat early on, and he just grew from strength to strength. Brendan Rodgers came in, and he just grew up to such a class where he was incredible. Further on down the line, he ended up getting a £25 million move to Arsenal. So Kieran Tierney, for what he brought in his time at Celtic, is the number 1 left back easily.
And kind of following on that word easily, does anyone disagree with the left back choice of Tierney?
Not a chance at all. There's one other that mentioned to Emilio for longevity, but no. Kieran Tierney. Every day of the week.
Kieran Tierney. Any noticeable mentions for left back? I would say a little shout out to Tosh McKinley, but every day of the week, Kieran Tierney.
Katie.
Tosh,
Yeah,
by the
so
way,
that-
by the way, Tosh McKinley was brilliant at getting down the line, and he had a wicked cross on him. But the only thing that kind of puts us off Tosh McKinley is that he actually broke Henrik Lawson's nose so whenever
Did he
Larson
break
came
his
into
nose? I knew he
Celtic.
stuck the nut in him, but I didn't know he broke his nose.
He headbutted him in training. I think it was only a few games into his Celtic career. But how dare he? How dare he touch God?
Aye. The boy that would be king.
But no, KT, 100%.
maybe he was teaching him. Right back.
I'm going to go with Tom Boyd on this one.
Good choice. Good choice.
I'm going to go with Tom Boyd. Tom Boyd was Mr. Celtic whenever he was there for a long, long time. He came in. He came
We
in
got
as
him for
part.
Chelsea, yeah.
We did. We got him as part of the swap deal for Tony Cascarino. Believe it or not, we signed Tony Cascarino for £1 million. I think it was £1 million. He was an absolute flop. He went back to Chelsea, and Tom Boyd was there. He was out of favour, but Tom Boyd came in, and Tom Boyd could play across the back four. He was early on in his career. He was fast. He was quite a dynamic fullback. But the longer he was in the game, and obviously he started to age, he kind of moved to the central positions, and kind of early on in Martin O'Neill's Celtic career, Tosh was kind of part of the back three. But I would have Tom Boyd at right back. Celtic captain, great guy, fantastic servant, excellent.
Yeah,
I like that. I like that originality.
See, I know Tom Boyd's dad quite well.
Did his dad? Is his dad like an electrician? He used to work in oil rigs.
He's I don't know if I didn't know he was a spark, but I knew he worked in the rigs.
Have you-
See, drinking in Bayless in a broom house at the time, and you're in you to talk, you pay for admission just to listen to him talk about football.
Have you got
absolutely
Dazza? Have you got a good connection with his dad?
Well, I'm no on a daily basis, but he's. You know what I mean? I know his sister well, and I know.
Sorry, mate.
I get you.
I just flung right on your head. It was an electrician's
I got
joke.
it once. See, once you tell me when my head, it sort of crashed on my head.
Sorry,
that was like the worst. That was like the worst dad joke ever.
I know, mate. I'm a Celtic dad. I'm sorry.
Right. Let's not blow a fuse here.
Oh.
So Dazza, your full back picks, unless you've got anything more to tell us about Tom Boyd's father.
No. Listen, I don't even know why Tom Boyd didn't even come into my now the forefront of my mind, because when Paddy said it, then I was like, "Oh, brilliant shout!" But I've got Jackie Mack.
As right back. Okay.
I put Jackie Mack into mine.
Jackie Mack was my favourite player growing up, and see, because of that, number 4's always been my favourite number for everything. So it was a shame for me to omit Jackie, but I think Tom Boyd was better.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I'm going to stick with my guns and keep Jackie Mack in as mine.
And who's your left back choice?
Mine's KT.
Oh, pardon me. Aye, of course, everybody's got KT. Right, McGinty, who's your right back? Because we know that you've got Tierney as your left back.
Yeah, so Tierney is the obvious left back, and I had a few options for right back. McNamara was one. Boyd, I didn't really toy with Boyd. I think he's just not at the forefront of my memory, although I did watch him play. Agath and Lustig, definitely big mentions, but I'm not playing a 3-5-2, so I don't want the speed of Didier Agathe. I went for something what I consider a personal preference and something to give it a little bit of balance to my backline. Andreas Hinkel.
Hinkel. Okay, so in your opinion, why does Hinkel? Why is he above Jackie McNamara? Because a lot of people would be wondering why. Longevity, Jackie McNamara, but was it a tribute? Was it like sheer ability or athleticism for Hinkel above Jackie?
For me, it's, as I said, it's bringing a little bit of balance to the backline. I think he would, in this hypothetical 11, I think he would complement Tierney on the left and Hinkel on the right. He'd give that backline that I've got here a little bit more structure and a little bit more defensive cover. That's purely it.
Okay. Right, I'm going to weigh in here. So I'm doing a 3-5-2. So I've got two wing backs, as you bloody well know. I've got Tierney as my left wing back. He's been doing it for Arsenal right now, even though he can play as a left-sided centre back. But for my right wing back, I've got Jackie. Jackie could do it under Martin O'Neill. It was my dad's birthday last weekend, without going into too much detail, and I bought him Jackie's book, his autobiography. It just came up like a fortnight ago or whatever. And on the day that I bought it, and I knew I'm going to have to drive up to my dad's and hand it over to him, I had nothing to do in work. I'm working from home. I just started reading Jackie's book, and I got through about 7 or 8 chapters. I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to hand this over right now. But Jackie's kind of the openings and the book and the few chapters, it was so insightful. It just brought me back to my happiest days as a Celtic fan. I used to watch Jackie on the right wing, on the right back, and you had Simon Donnelly on the right wing, and those guys just they're pals to this day. But you could tell on the pitch they were both young men, and they just interlinked so well. I loved watching them on the right wing. Fantastic, brilliant football under Tommy Burns. So for me, Jackie McNamara every day of the week. But Paddy, I do get you, Tom Boyd. Tom Boyd at his peak as a right back, a very, very good Celtic servant, very, very good Celtic player. But
And the good thing about Tom Boyd as well is he was both footed. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't quite Dennis Irwin levels of both footed, but he was definitely, he could play with both. Do you know what I mean? He could play left, he could play right, he could play centre. Had it all.
Let's not labour too much in defence, but we're going to go for centre backs. Paddy, who's your 2 centre backs?
I'm going for the most beautiful, balanced centre back pair that you could ever dream of, right? You've got steel and you've got class and abundance. So I'm going to go with Big Bobo, the absolute colossus that he was, and I'm going to pair him beside Virgil van Dijk. I mean, nobody's getting by these two. Nobody.
You said style and class. What one does Baldy come under?
Well, it certainly was the style and class. Big Bobo was the colossus. Big Bobo would put the absolute frighteners into any forward. You would probably have them shiting themselves before they were coming out.
Okay. McGinty, what's your 2?
Again, I think everybody's going to agree here with Big Virgil van Dijk is going to be one of the pairing, or the 3, as your case, Gavin. But I went with Big Yus Valharan to partner him. I think he carries the ball out from the back a lot better. And again, looking at the overall back line, I think that's a back 4 that kind of would work well together.
A worthy mention of Yus Valharan. Was he the first signing under Martin O'Neill? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
I'm not 100% sure, was he? Yeah, I know we signed him off the back of the Euro 2000s.
I'm sure he was actually.
3.5, 4 million or something for him. I don't know if he's the first one though.
Paid £3 million for him, and as you said, it was off the back of Martin O'Neill being a commentator at Euro 2000, and he spotted him. And when Useful Harn came in, I think he played more on the right hand side of the back 3, and he was fantastic. He was absolutely brilliant. But he was a player that kind of got ruined a wee bit because Mapic was shoehorned into the team. Big Bobo. When Big Bobo came in, Useful Harn moved over to the left hand side, and he ended up, he wasn't as comfortable on that side as what he was on the right. But
Okay.
he was a tremendous player. He was strong, he was physical, he was fast. So it was a great pick, that McGinty.
Dazza.
I went for Bobo. I went for Bobo and Van Dijk as well.
Bobo and Van Dijk.
And I kind of, if I had to say my reasons, I'd probably just repeat everything that Paddy said. Van Dijk is a Rolls Royce, as proven all over. And Bobo Baldy, well, Bobo's going to get you, isn't he? So you're no.
By the way, one of my favourite memories, like as a Celtic fan, it's like as a Celtic fan, okay, for like your home European fixtures on those midweek encounters, when you've got cultured players, like I don't know, I'm thinking like Villarreal, Juventus, Benfica, these sorts of clubs visiting us back in the Martin O'Neill days, and you've got an honest enough striker who's jumping up to try and win a header, and Baldy fucking clears him. Baldy is taking the ball, the man, everything. Nothing is going past him. Nothing's going past him. And these players have never witnessed that. And we know what's going to happen. And we're almost feeling sorry for the cultured striker trying to win a ball in the air. Baldy, I think, for people who have never seen Baldy live, you need to see it to appreciate it. He was a colossus. He was a force of nature. But for my choice, okay, so as you know, I'm doing 3-5-2. So Virgil van Dijk every day of the week. I don't think there's any denying that. And if you've been living under a rock, he's one of the best defenders in the world, still currently right now. He's won the Champions League and the league in England for Liverpool. The other one, yeah, I'm going to go for Baldy. I think I did it only for sheer intimidation purposes, because I think for footballing purposes, I don't actually need him. I went for Baldy as well. However, the other guy that nobody's went for is Mjällby. I went for Johan Mjällby. We bought him intended as a midfielder, but he was moved into defence. Who was it? So Wim Janssen. Was it Wim Janssen or Venglos who bought him? Venglos.
Signed
Okay.
AIK Stockholm, I think.
And then presumably Martin O'Neill moved him back in the defence.
Yeah. I
Right,
think he might have played a couple of games under Venglos at centre back, but as you said, he was brought in predominantly as a midfielder. But he showed his qualities whenever he went to the back, and he was another one that just slotted in beautifully with Martin O'Neill's system.
I remember early 2000s there was like a poll of like Swedish football fans, and they were to choose their favourite current Swedish footballer, and at that point Henrik was ripping it off for us. He was like Superman, but the Swedish fans chose Mjällby, and that kind of made me pause. Like I was still kind of like fairly young, like young teenager, but it kind of made me kind of pause and realise, yeah, Mjällby is a bit of a unit, and he's a powerhouse both for Celtic and for Sweden, and he played in international tournaments as well for Sweden along with Henrik. A couple of noticeable mentions for centre backs who we've not yet mentioned. Mark Reaper. You know, when Henrik Larsson has done his favourite 11. It's been kind of well publicised. You can find it on YouTube if you've never seen the clip before. Highly recommend it. What a fucking team! But for centre back, he chose Mark Reaper as one of his centre backs, and Alan Stubbs as well. Alan Stubbs was brilliant for us. He was part of the team that overthrew Rangers to stop 10 in a row. And Lustig as well, never mentioned him. Izagiri as well. Aye. So we've got defence. We've got one shout for Tom Boyd. That was a right back. McNamara, we've got 2 for him. Tierney, 4 ticks for him, and Virgil van Dijk with 3 ticks for him. So I think it's a fairly.
Van Dijk?
Pardon me?
Who never says Virgil? I thought we all said Virgil.
Oh, I never ticked myself there. Pardon me. Right, everybody's went for Virgil. 2 went for Baldy, 1 went for Valharen, and I have also went for Mjällby. In fact, 3 went for Mjällby. I'm not even ticking my own names here. I'm fucking up here. Moving on to midfield though. McGinty, I want to start off with you because you went for a 3 in midfield. Is that correct?
Yeah. Purely to try and shoehorn a certain person in, which I think we're all going to do similar with. But I went for a midfield trio of Lambert, Petrov, and Lubo to sit in a kind of number 10 role.
No Neil Lennon?
No Neil Lennon. I think defensively, this lineup is defensively sound. Lambert can cover in that kind of box-to-box kind of way. Not quite box-to-box. But Petrov's going to give you legs. Lubo's going to give you the creativity.
I've got Neil Lennon as my manager.
You're the manager, Pat. Dazza, you're the manager.
Sorry, mate, I nearly choked on my own vomit there.
Okay, Petrov, Lubo, and Lambert.
Yep.
Granted. Does everybody have Lubo? Out of curiosity.
Yes.
I've got Lubo.
I've got Lubo's part of my front 3. I changed
okay,
it to
okay.
I changed it to 4-3-3.
Okay, I'm gonna caveat that. I've got a Lubo up front. That's good because he doesn't have to run too much. Right, okay, so we've got a McGinty Lubo, a Gavin Lubo, and a Paddy Lubo in midfield.
Aye, but mine's isn't in centre mid though.
Aye. Okay. Uh, right, so Petrov, Lambert, Lubo, Paddy, you've got a 4 in the midfield. Who do you have?
Aye. Listen, it's a hard one, right? Because I'm going to have to leave out guys like Lambert, Petrov, Scott Brown. Unfortunately, love to pick the players, but the flat 4 that I've picked, I think, complements my team absolutely beautifully. Again, you've got the balance of the steel and robustness mixed in with beauty and class. So the left hand side, I'm going with the original Hun scalper that was Alan Thompson. Absolute quality player. You get everything out of Alan. He had the best left foot we've seen in a long time. He was almost like our version of Albert's in that respect. What a player, big game player. Loved playing against Rangers. Done very well in European competition as well. So Tomo's on my left hand side. In
He
the
loved
centre,
karaoke too, didn't he?
I loved a few beers, I know. So definitely Tomo left hand side. He's going to be an absolute dream for my front pairing. But,
What was it, like 2.5 million or something like that from Aston Villa? Was it?
I would think 2.5 million for him for Aston Villa, and I remember his debut. It was a friendly, and he actually scored with a back heel. I can't remember who it was against, but he scored with a back heel. So that was a good arrival for Tomo. But he was a great player, and obviously ended up as a coach. Celtic brought in Fraser Forster, as we spoke about recently.
Aye.
He's my left winger. In the centre mid, who did I pick again? Fuck, who did I pick?
I would imagine you went for, and they gave us.
No,
I didn't.
Sorry guys, I've totally forgot my picks here. One of them. One of them was Wanyama, believe it or not. I was going to pick Wanyama for the steal.
Aye, Wanyama's brilliant, but to say that he's the best, it's a bit of elite Paddy boy.
Absolutely, mate, don't ever doubt me.
Can I just say to the viewers, I'm happy if you criticise Paddy in the comments. Right, okay, so your midfield, you've forgotten who you've got, but you have remembered Wanyama, who's went down a storm.
I'm sorry guys, I've honestly forgot who my other centre mid was.
Can I try and remind you that maybe it might be Paul McStay?
No, it wasn't. Who was
He's
it?
in mine.
What was he?
He's in mine. He's in mine.
Sorry, it was Lambert. It was Lambert. Sorry, I never papped him out. It was Lambert. Lambert was. I've got Wanyama and Lambert as my centre mid pair.
So you
see for the way we were talking about Big Bobo being a colossus at the back, nobody getting by him. Tell me who's going to get by Big Vic in midfield? Nobody. He was a fucking brick shithouse, powerhouse. Nobody.
Aye, listen, he was a great player, but I don't think we got long enough out of him from B and who are greatest Celtic teams.
Mm-hmm. Aye, Paddy,
I like your thinking at the box, but I'm no buying it.
Yeah, but Paddy, are you advertising like a sieve tonight because your memory's like a fucking sieve? You forgot you've got Lambert.
Sorry, it was Paul Lambert. Sorry, I said that.
Right, okay, so you had Lambert, you had Wanyama, and you also had Thompson on the left mid. So who have you got at right mid?
So I've got Tomo left mid, Wanyama and Lambert in centre mid, and I put Lubo to right mid.
Okay.
Lubo, the gift of God, guy who had he didn't actually know whether he was left footed or right footed. It was that good. He had wonderful class, wonderful ability. His corners, his free kicks were tremendous. He was a goal threat. Do you know what I mean? He was the guy was nicknamed a gift from God. So how the hell could I know if shoehorned him into my team somewhere?
And I would imagine because you've got Tom Boyd as your right back, that's going to make up for Lubo's lack of tracking back. Yeah.
Lubo can do whatever he wants in my team. He's got carte blanche.
Lubo can do whatever he wants in most teams.
Which is quite literally why he's in the number 10 role for me. Just let him do what he wants.
I want to kind of bring up a question. I get it for longevity because this other player who I'm going to bring up only played one season for us, but he made one hell of a reputation in British football despite never earning an international cap. So why is it that we revere Moravcik? I get that, but why do we think that Moravcik is a better player than Paulo Di Canio? Just playing devil's advocate, who wants to go with that?
Well, for a start, he wasn't a fascist.
Football.
So for me, it's all about what they did at
Could have been a
Celtic.
communist, for fuck's sake. He was Eastern European. Keep it to football, pal.
For me,
Please.
it's all about what he did at Celtic, and Lubo did so much more for Celtic as a football club, and his class was so much
Not
better.
Longevity.
No,
In the isolated season that we had with
Lubo's
Di Canio.
better. I don't need to argue this anymore. Lubo's better.
Yeah, there's no argument in it. Lubo is a better player. Paulo Di Canio was amazing. I enjoyed watching Paulo Di Canio play for Celtic. Now part of the Van Hooijdonk, Cadet, Andres Tom. Great Celtic team, just an unlucky Celtic team. But for me, Lubo, I mean, Hugh Keevins ate the word. Why are Celtic gone for this non-entity when they could have had John Spencer? That non-entity then came up and got a DVD made about him. Do you know what I mean? So, for me, Lubo every day of the week and twice on a Sunday.
We were after John Spencer. Did he not play for Rangers beforehand?
No, that
Was it John Spencer?
I don't think we're
yes.
actually after him, were we? It's just a
Aye.
Keevins comment.
No, we weren't after him. He was a potential signing target, and with Celtic wouldn't pay the money for him, and we brought Lubo in instead. And Hugh Keevins, wee nasally voice. I don't understand why Celtic are going for this non-entity when they could fit John Spencer for 600,000.
Aye, was that no after that he declared that Paulo George was 100% the next Celtic manager? Was it Paulo George was his name? Some
I
Portuguese
think so,
fella.
Who the fuck is Paulo George?
Exactly. Keevins declared that he was nailed on the next
100%.
Celtic manager, and I'm sure he says he was appointed the manager for that just to fall on his face, and then we ended up with Dr. Joe, who was a compadre of Moravcik, and that's how we ended up getting Lubo in.
It took a while, but every time I hear it now, I just think of the Aqua tune, not the Jones. However, Dr. Joe was a fantastic coach and manager for Celtic, and
Dress his soul.
Mm-hmm.
exactly that's why I kind of wanted to caveat that, because he did pass away 1 year ago. 1 year ago,
No,
I think it was.
wasn't long ago.
Aye. Yeah, he played a part in Celtic's history, and rest in peace. Where were we? Paddy, I was making fun of you for like your choices. Where did I leave you at?
You basically said I had a memory like a sieve.
Yeah. That's correct.
He's left us bewildered.
That's correct.
I gave you my four, so it was Thompson, Wanyama, Lambert, and Lubo on the right.
Yeah, because we had to eke it out of you. Yes. So on to you, Dazza. Who have you got for your midfield? I believe that you've got a 4. You've got a 4, yeah.
No, midfield 3. Midfield 3. I've went for. Okay, if a midfield 3, but I'll say it as a 4. So I've went for 3 henchmen, 3 strong players. Scott Brown, because I can't not have Scott Brown in a team after everything he's achieved. The only other player that's won more trophies in him is Bobby Lennox. He's the only player that's won more trophies in him in Scottish football. Bobby Lennox is sitting at 22 and Scott Brown's at 21, or something like that.
Where was Billy McNeil in that case? Sorry, I'm putting you on the spot here.
I don't know, but it wasn't as much. I think he might just be under them. But Bobby Lennox is sitting out on top with 22 trophies, I think, or 23. And Scott Brown's got 22, or it's 22-21. But there was one trophy in it.
So, poignantly, your first man in midfield is Scott Brown. Let's hear it from there.
Paul McStay, the maestro. You know what I mean? You don't earn the nickname the maestro. He coordinates everything. Absolutely outstanding player. My hero growing up. And I just wish to God he could have been in a more successful Celtic team than what he deserves. A Celtic fan through and through.
Damn right.
So Paul McStay. And my other one in the midfield is John Collins. again, for an absolute hero of mine. And well, no, none to do with football, but the first player to score wearing Predator boots.
John Collins, aye. Free kick.
And it was a header.
Ibrox.
It was a header.
Was it?
Fucking advert for fucking Adidas, eh?
So John Collins, and then just sitting in front of them, Lubo. So Lubo being sort of, like I said, the number 10 role, spraying passes, spraying shots, from there.
Okay, so 3 out of 3, Lubo
Christie's
has
just
been
been
selected.
booked. No, he misses the next
Was it-
match.
Was he booked for like hitting the ball over the bar?
Taking somebody out in the crowd.
Right, okay. McStay. For me, surprise of the night. McStay is the first. Dazza is only the first guy who's actually said McStay. Paddy, why didn't you say McStay? I was surprised at that.
It'll all become clear at the end when I'm sitting here gloating why I've went with Lambert.
It's not Lambert.
Okay.
I don't mind Lambert. It's when Yama gets
I know, but there's method behind my listen, Wanyama's clearly out everybody, right? But as I say, at the end of my
Right,
lineup,
okay.
I'll tell you why I went with Lambert.
Right, so Dazza, just to recall and help me with this. So you went for McStay, you went for Collins, you went for Lubo. Who else? Was that it? Scott Brown. Pardon me. Yeah, Lubo on the right mid.
No, Lubo just they freeze are sort of controlling the midfield in the centre, and then Lubo just controlling the line.
A very, very small, diminutive Christmas tree then. Okay. And for myself,
Faroe Islands should be about 2 up there, just if he's interested.
Fucking hell. Really?
Aye, Craig Gordon's made a great save about 5 minutes ago, and it's been off Faroe Islands for what I've seen.
Fucking hell. Where are we? Sorry, where are we? First half or second half?
40 minutes. No.
Jesus Christ. Maybe they should bring on Callum McGregor.
What's your
what about Mr. McGinty? What's he got?
We've done McGinty.
We've done me.
For the midfield.
Aye.
Oh, sorry. My apologies.
You never know, guys. We might get a chance to watch this second half if we can
get
our lineups.
Who wants to? What would you prefer, like talking about Celtic or watch Scotland struggle against the Faroes?
Talk about Celtic every day of the week.
I've got the
okay. Right, okay. So I went for 3-5-2. So I've already went for McNamara as my right wing back. I've went for Tierney as my left wing back. So I've only got 3 midfielders to choose from, and I was thinking about a strong spine of the team, and I had to go for McStay. I can't believe I'm only the second player, the second guy out of 4 who has went for McStay. Damn you guys. McStay every day of the week. For me, apart from Larson, he's my first name in the team sheet. McStay, and I went for Lambert as well. Why did I go for Lambert? Well, he played for Borussia Dortmund. He marked Zinedine Zidane out of the game in the European Cup final. The Champions League. So if I've got McStay in his prime as the number 8 who can like move up the pitch, I've got Lambert who doesn't have to really fulfil that duty, and he can do a more kind of a defensive shape. I know that Wanyama was a brick shithouse, but did he really do it in his career? He's still in his 20s and he's playing in America right now.
Mate, he does it in my team every day of the week.
He does it in Football Manager.
Paddy, you're going down fighting with this one, yeah, my choice.
Absolutely.
Paddy's defence, did he know also playing a Champions League final with Spurs?
There you go.
I don't think he did. Really?
It was part of the squad.
It's part of the squad. Leave him be.
Yeah, okay.
I'm throwing him the lifeline here.
Yeah, before he get exiled to America. The other man I've got in my midfield is going to be Lubomir Moravcik. Yeah, I went for him. I think we all have. He's going to be kind of just playing in front of Lambert and McStay. I think that is scary as fuck for an opposition team. So there we go. There we go. Moving on to the attack. So McGinty, you're going to give a bit of kind of dynamic to this because you've got three in your attack. Who have you got?
Yeah, I went for a kind of front three. Two are definitely more modern players in our history, and I think this maybe shows the difference in the age between maybe the three of us and Dazza being a little bit older. That he's incorporated a couple of players and bring up some names that are maybe a bit more dated than what we've got just now.
Are you assuming that Dazza is going to throw up a name like Tommy Coyne or Frank McAvenny?
No, I'm just assuming that mine is going to look awfully young in comparison to what potentially might come up from Dazza.
Anyway, if you don't pick Larson, I'm hanging up.
And
anybody doesn't pick Larson,
I went on my left side. Now I went on my left side for probably one of the more modern ones of the whole thing, and went for Scott Sinclair. If we're playing a front three, Sinclair for me can definitely cut in left, and he gave us 3.5 great years at Celtic, great goal return, and he would happily support my lead striker here. On the right side,
by the way, can I just say, if I did that formation, I would have went for Craig Bellamy. He did a full season. I would have went for him as left forward. But on you go, Scott Sinclair.
That's good. It's my formation, not yours. So piped in. I went for Scott Sinclair because he can definitely cut, and he proved that definitely for us for 3.5 seasons here. On the right side, we talked about him earlier on. James Forrest. Every day of the week, James Forrest, he's done it for the better part of my adulthood life at Celtic. He's been a fantastic servant to the club, and he knows how to chip in with goals.
I'm warning you.
Goals as well.
I'm warning you. This better.
So with that kind of pace and support to a lead striker, you need a focal point up front. You need somebody who these two can run in and support, but at the same time, you need this lead striker to not only lead the line, but you need him probably to come back and deep and help out as well. So I went for a guy who could do almost no wrong in the eyes of all Celtic fans, and of course Henrik Lawson.
You better.
I mean, I honestly thought you were going to go with Kyle Goder.
No. That Kyle was far too young in his career. Maybe in 3 years we'll put Kyle Go in it, but no, Larson, if anybody's not got him as the number one pick in the team, then just get off my podcast.
You've got Sinclair, you've got Forrest, and you've got King of Kings.
100%, yeah.
And you've justified it, and that's what it's all about. Paddy, do you want to tear that shit down?
No, I'll just leave that to Big Bobo and Wanyama, idiot. Big Wanyama would tear up his midfield before they even go near Bobo.
Half my midfield is half your midfield.
Aye, but mine's are better.
Right, it's not command and conquer here. It's your best 11. Paddy, you've got a 4-4-2, I believe. So who's your top two then?
4-4-2. So to complement my style, again, it's an incredible balance up front. It's going to have to be Sutton and Larson. You know, it was two. Big Sutton was a tremendous servant for Celtic, and he's probably the most dominant forward that I've seen, possibly in my lifetime, other than maybe like a Van Hooijdonk. But for what Sutton did at Celtic, he's definitely there. And as I say, to complement, we spoke about Henrik Lawson on a recent podcast, and we kind of spoke about how Lawson and Sutton complemented each other so amazingly. Do you know what I mean? And we also spoke about it privately. Like, would Larson have been as not successful, but would Larson have benefited from playing like in a formation of being a one front up himself? Would they have scored as many goals if he didn't have Sutton?
He scored for Barcelona. He scored for Barcelona at the age of 34, didn't he?
No, but what I'm saying is, like, with my front two, do you know what I mean? Sutton's going to win the balls in the air. He's going to do all the dirty work. He's going to get the elbows in. He's going to do all the layers for Larson, and Larson's just going to have everything on a plate, and he's just going to score.
Okay. Dazza, did you go for a front three?
No, the front three, I put Lubo in because obviously Lubo's in between I put Lubo in between the strike force and the midfield. So that leaves me with the two of, as Paddy said, Sutton and Lawson.
Sutton and Lawson.
And, you know, I reckon Sutton and Lawson, you could get away with saying just cause. Do you know what I mean? It's like it needs no explanation. You could just get away with saying just cause, and everybody would be like, aye, just cause.
I'm not going to argue with you on that one.
And I'll tell you, it's just we things like that. Sutton, Ajax, that bullet he did against Ajax. You know what I mean? The chip against Kloss. See, I say that player's name there, and I didn't go and say the word that we're not allowed to say, Huns. So Sutton, Lawson. Well, Larson's Larson, isn't he?
By the way, can I just give a big shout out to somebody who I forgot to say his name, but he's very, very unlucky to miss out in my team, and it's Big John Hartson. I love that
100%.
I love that big guy when he played for Celtic. He's
100%. I sat there and I was like, Sutton, Hartson, Sutton, Hartson, Sutton, Hartson, but ultimately Sutton edged it.
Just because of the partnership between him and Larson.
Aye. And Sutton said once, I'm sure Sutton said in an interview that he's best. You know, he played with Shearer, I remember, at Blackburn. He played at Chelsea, and he said the best player he's ever played with, or his best partner up front, has been the King of Kings. They too.
Okay, well, I'll kind of conclude things with my own choice. I've got two up front, and of course it's going to be Henrik Lawson. And I went for Sutton as well. However, I didn't write Sutton to start off with. I thought about it, and I watched the guy's goals back on YouTube. By the way, anybody who's watching this, check out If You Know Their History on YouTube. They dedicate videos to particular players and all their goals. I think it's, if you're a Celtic fan, it's like a great archive. It's a great mind to kind of delve into. I actually went for Van Hooijdonk to start off with, but then I changed it to Sutton earlier on today. The reason I went for Van Hooijdonk, very, very briefly, he had like roughly about 92 games. He had 56 goals for Celtic. And for Holland, during the 90s, it was very, very difficult to break into the attack for Holland, for the Netherlands. He got 40 odd games. He got 12 goals, but you're up against players like Bergkamp and Kluivert. The guy was 6'4", and for me in the 90s, as like a disciple of the kind of Tommy Burns philosophy back then. He was like the main iconic foreign signing that Celtic made. Everybody was in love with him. He had his own name. He had his own song. It was like a shite song, but everybody loved him. He was a target man, but he had great feet. Technically, very, very great. And he could score goals. I think I would actually challenge anyone to say, apart from Nakamura, I think Van Hooijdonk was the best free kick taker for Celtic over the past 20, 25 years. Noticeable mention to John Collins, but Pierre was fantastic. And after he left Celtic, he actually won the UEFA Cup, which we never did with Feyenoord. I think they might have put out Rangers possibly in that run-in or in one of the competitions either before or after. Van Hooijdonk was fantastic. He had a bit of a mentality problem, which is why he never really flourished at Nottingham Forest afterwards. But I was really tempted to go for Van Hooijdonk because I think Van Hooijdonk actually is technically better than Chris Sutton, and he scored a shitload of headers. But I went for Chris Sutton because of longevity, because he's such a cult figure, because he blended so well with Henrik Larsson, and because the guy is just such a scalper, okay? So that's who I went for. Guys, who's your captains? I'm going to start off with McGinty. Who is your football captain for Celtic in that 11?
Champions League winner, Lambert.
Paddy?
Tom Boyd.
Dazza?
Maestro.
And for me, the Maestro as well. Aye. So, there you have it. What we'll do is on Twitter, we will actually post our favourite 11. And if you want to log on to that, then tell us what you think. Who's the winner? We can try and do a poll to see who the winner is.
See, before we do that, guys, can I just sway the votes my way by saying that I've got 3 Champions League winners in my team?
They play for Celtic when they won the Champions League.
I don't care.
So do I.
No, you don't.
In fact, so do we all almost.
If you were trying to win gold like that, I'm surprised you never chucked in Juninho.
I believe I have potentially
A World
actually
Cup.
have a UEFA Cup winner as well in my team.
Who's that?
Did Hinkle not win it with Sevilla?
Oh, come on.
If we're going to go for who's got the best in European Cups,
Did he? I'm
I think he
not,
did
I'm not
it.
too sure
Was
about
he
that.
just before Sevilla had that run?
I think we would well know about that if he did.
We'll find out. We'll check.
Right, okay.
Anyway, can I just
Dazza,
have a wee honorary mention for somebody who never got in my team, and by the way, he missed it, because Lubo got their knacker.
Yeah, same. He was in my list of potential players, and I couldn't find where to put him. For me, he didn't fit quite well in my formation, so I had to leave him out.
I think if you did if you did the 4-4-2 and you had Lubo on one side and Naka on the other, you would have had to have Duracell batteries as your left back and your right back to kind of support them, because they would never track back. We're trying to be kind of pragmatic, and we appreciate that, because sometimes you hear like retired players doing their best 11, and like the top 6 are all fucking strikers. It's just not practical whatsoever. So I appreciate everybody for actually trying to be practical and pragmatic with their top 11. Dazza, how are Scotland doing right now? What's the time on the clock?
Half time, nothing each.
All right, okay. So we're still good for time. So we've got like another hour for the podcast. You agree with McGinty?
I'm going
Is
to
that
punch
okay?
you, Gavin.
Pardon me. Right, okay, so what we'll do for Twitter, everybody will post their top 11, and we'll do a poll to find out who you think is the best 11. But I think everybody agrees that Virgil van Dijk, he was 4 out of 4, and obviously Lawson was 4 out of 4. Apart from that, I think we've got a bit of dubiety. And Paddy, you mentioned Scott Brown. I don't think anyone else mentioned Scott Brown. That's
Darren.
Pardon me, Darren. Sorry. Aye, it's kind of telling. Like you can win so many titles, but some people don't deem you to be as talented. You can be talented, but maybe not successful, and vice versa. Quite an interesting one. Apart from that, so we have covered the international roundup for Celtic. We've covered our favourite top 11, and who we're mentioning, who we anticipate to come back into the Celtic squad after the international roundup, and they can hopefully be returning to the first team training. Paddy, we're playing Motherwell the next fixture. You're hoping for a win. Are you expecting a win? By the way, I think it's like 12 quid.
Come on, mate. Of course I want Celtic to win. Come on.
12 quid pay-per-view. 12 quid pay-per-view.
Is it? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Well, we're playing them Saturday at... we're away on Saturday, 3 o'clock. I'm expecting definitely a positive result for Celtic, a positive performance as well. We managed to come away from Pittodrie with a win. So let's hope that, as we said, that's going to be a bit of a springboard. Yeah, aye. So let's just hope that the trend continues and we can start to find a good winning form. We've got a good month ahead of us fixture-wise. There's no reason why we shouldn't be winning the majority of the games, if not all of them. So here we go.
Yeah, if you're Pac-Man, you'd be hoping to eat all those apples in front of you. McGinty, we have got Ferencváros. You had said at the very start of our kind of infancy of the podcast that you want to get, and you kind of expected to get 6 points from Ferencváros or Ferencváros. Do you still expect that?
Yes.
Okay, I will move on from that. Dazza, Motherwell, Ferencváros. Still optimistic. Think we'll take them both.
I Even during the wee moments of when we're not scraping the results together, I still think we're looking all right. I mean, that Hearts game, we played well, just couldn't get the killer instinct. Then I thought we played well for large parts of the game, and I thought we were unlucky not to walk away with something for that. Aberdeen, we just come off a grueling game against Bayer Leverkusen. And again, I didn't think that was a 4-0 defeat. A 4-0 defeat. Obviously, the scoreline was 4-0, but I didn't think it deserved to be 4-0. So I think I actually believe we're on the cusp of something. The Wayne's playing PlayStation up there. I think we're on the cusp of something good, and I'm just hoping it can click to another run later.
I totally agree. I think we are. I think there's been a few kind of false dawns, but eventually it's going to click, and when it does, fucking hell, it's going to be great. But here's hoping. Got to keep that faith. Guys, we're going to round up from here. I think we've had a good wee night talking about some hypotheticals and talking about Celtic as it is right now and what we're hoping for. So from the Jungle Gyms, from Paddy, from Dazza, and from McGinty, and from myself, been an absolute pleasure. And again, to the viewers, please hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button, please leave your comments. Again, interesting questions tonight. Let us know what you think. Again, from all of us, brilliant. Good night.
Hoo-hoo.